I was halfway through Kansas when my car started making that sound. You know the one, that ticking, hissing noise that says you're about to be stranded in the middle of nowhere. Steam poured from under the hood as I pulled onto the shoulder, and within minutes, the engine was dead. No cell service, no other cars, just endless fields and a blood-red sunset that made everything look like it was on fire. That's when I saw it. Maybe half a mile down a dirt road, the town. Not on my GPS, not on any map I'd checked, but there it was, real as anything. I grabbed my phone and started walking. The main street was straight out of the 1950s. Small houses with white picket fences, a diner with a neon sign that wasn't lit, a school with a rusted swing set out front. Everything looked lived in, maintained even, but there wasn't a soul in sight. I called out, "Hello? Anyone around?" My voice sounded wrong, muffled, like I was speaking through a pillow. I tried again, louder this time, but it came out the same way, dull, swallowed by the air itself. That's when I noticed the windows. Every single one was open, not just cracked, wide open. But the curtains inside hung perfectly still. No breeze, no movement, nothing. I stood there staring at one house, waiting for even the slightest flutter, but it never came. The air felt thick, like I was walking through something heavier than oxygen. My ears started ringing from the silence, not the peaceful kind, the kind that makes your brain start inventing sounds just to fill the void. I pulled out my phone to record a voice memo, maybe document this weird ghost town situation. I hit record and said, "This is the creepiest place I've ever been." I played it back. The waveform on the screen was a flat line, completely flat, no sound at all. I played it again, nothing. I recorded again, clapping my hands right next to the mic, still nothing. My stomach dropped. That's when I saw him. At the far end of the street, maybe 100 yards away, stood a man, just standing there in the middle of the road, facing me. He wore dark clothes, and his arms hung limp at his sides. I raised my hand. "Hey, you live here?" No response. I started walking toward him, my shoes scraping against the asphalt, but I couldn't hear my own footsteps. When I got about halfway, I glanced down at a broken bottle on the ground. When I looked back up, he was gone. I spun around. He was behind me now, same posture, same stillness, standing on the opposite corner like he'd been there the whole time. My heart started pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat, but I couldn't hear it. I couldn't hear anything. The silence wasn't just around me anymore, it was inside me, pressing against my skull, building pressure behind my eyes. I backed away slowly, keeping my eyes on him, and turned toward where I'd left my car. I just wanted out. That's when I saw the others. They were in the doorways, standing just inside the shadows of their homes, perfectly still, all of them staring at me. Men, women, even a kid holding a baseball glove. Their faces looked normal at first glance, hair combed, clothes clean, but their mouths were all open, just slightly, like they'd been frozen mid-scream, and their eyes didn't blink. I started running. My legs pumped hard, my lungs burned, but I couldn't hear my breath, couldn't hear my feet hitting the pavement. I didn't dare look back. The pressure in my head was unbearable now, like the silence was crushing me from inside out. I could feel them watching, feel them following without moving. Then I heard it. A sound. The first real sound since I'd entered that place. It came from behind me, a massive, collective inhale, like dozens of people gasping for air all at once, deep, wet, hungry. I didn't stop. I didn't turn around. I just ran faster, my vision blurring with panic. My car was just ahead. I don't know how, but the engine was running, headlights on, driver's door still open like I'd left it. I threw myself inside, slammed the door, and floored it. Gravel sprayed as I fishtailed back onto the main road, and I didn't stop speeding until I hit the interstate an hour later. I didn't look at the footage until I got to a motel that night. My hands were still shaking as I pulled up the video. The town was there, houses, street, school, all of it. But every single person I'd seen was blurred out, not pixelated, blurred, like something had smudged them from reality. And the audio? Still a perfect, unbroken silence. I tried finding the town the next day, drove back to the same stretch of road. There was nothing. No dirt path, no buildings, just empty fields. I checked every map I could find, satellite images, old county records, everything. That town doesn't exist. It never did. But I still have the video. And sometimes, late at night, I watch it. Not because I want to, because I have to. Because in the last 3 seconds of the footage, right before it cuts out, you can see something in one of the doorways. It's me, standing there, mouth open, staring. I was out in the middle of nowhere doing land surveys for a construction firm when I found it. My job's pretty simple. Walk the property, check for structures, take photos, file reports. Most days it's just empty fields and the occasional deer. But that afternoon, I came across something I wasn't expecting. 4 houses, or what was left of them. They were clustered together like some forgotten little settlement, all sagging roofs and busted windows. Probably abandoned since the 70s, but one of them looked different, newer, like someone had tried to rebuild it recently. The frame was solid, fresh 2x4s, new nails. The first floor even had drywall up in some places, but the second floor? Just beams, no flooring, no railing, just open air and exposed joists stretching across the top like ribs. I stood there staring up at it, wondering who the hell would start a project like this and just walk away. That's when I heard the footsteps, slow, deliberate, walking across the second floor. I froze. My clipboard slipped out of my hand and clattered onto the concrete slab below. The footsteps stopped. I stood there, heart hammering, staring up at those empty beams. "Hello?" My voice echoed through the hollow structure. Nothing, just silence. Then the steps started again, faster this time, moving from one side of the house to the other, like someone pacing. I should have left, I know that now, but in the moment I convinced myself it was some squatter, maybe a transient using the place as shelter. I pulled out my flashlight and headed for the stairs. They were rough-cut plywood, no railing, nailed into the wall at a steep angle. Every step groaned under my weight. The air got colder as I climbed. When I reached the top, I could see straight through to the ground below. Just beams spanning the open space, maybe 16 inches wide. No one could walk on those without falling. But I heard it again. Footsteps, right above me, fast now, circling. I swung my flashlight up and saw shadows, long human-shaped shadows sliding across the beams. But there was nothing casting them, no body, no shape, just the shadows moving on their own. "Hello?" I shouted, my voice cracked. The steps stopped again, and then I saw them. Footprints, fresh shoe prints in the dust covering the beams. They walked in a straight line across 3 beams, then just stopped, right where a person would have fallen straight through to the first floor. I leaned out, shining my light down. Nothing below, no one there. That's when I heard the whisper, right next to my ear, close enough to feel breath. "Don't come up here." I stumbled backward, nearly losing my footing on the stairs. My flashlight beam jerked wildly across the ceiling. The house groaned, not like wood settling, like something breathing. The beams above me creaked in rhythm, slow, deliberate, in and out. I could feel the vibrations through the staircase. Then something landed on the beam behind me, hard, heavy. The impact shook the entire structure. I felt it through my boots, through my bones. I spun around, light aimed right at the spot. Nothing, just an empty beam, but the dust was disturbed, a fresh impression, like something with weight had just stepped there. I didn't wait. I ran, down the stairs, through the first floor, out into the open air. I didn't stop running until I was back at my truck. I sat there for 20 minutes, hands shaking, staring at that house. It looked so ordinary in the daylight, just a half-finished project, nothing more. I reported it to the county office the next morning, told them there was an unsafe structure on the property, squatters possibly. The whole thing needed to be checked out. The clerk looked at me funny and pulled up the parcel map. She turned her screen toward me. There's nothing there. That land's been vacant for 30 years. No permits, no structures, nothing. I pulled out my phone and showed her the photos. Swipe, swipe, swipe. Every single photo showed the same thing. An empty foundation, cracked concrete, weeds growing through it. No frame, no beams, no house. I scrolled through them twice, my stomach twisting. I knew what I'd photographed. I was there. I saw it. I heard it. But the photos didn't lie. Or maybe they did. I don't know anymore. I went back 3 days later with a coworker, made him come with me so I'd have a witness. We stood right where that house should have been. Nothing. Just an old slab and some rotted lumber scattered in the grass. He asked me if I was feeling okay. I told him I was fine. But I still hear it sometimes, late at night when the house settles. Footsteps above me, slow and deliberate. Even though I live in a single-story ranch, even though there's nothing above me but an attic full of insulation, I hear them. And I know that someday I'm gonna look up and see shadows moving across my ceiling. And I'm terrified of what I'll see when I do. I was about 40 miles from home when the gas light came on. It was just past midnight, and I'd been driving through nothing but farmland for the last hour. No towns, no rest stops, just long stretches of empty road cutting through fields. My phone had lost service 20 minutes back, and the needle was dropping fast. I was starting to think I'd have to pull over and sleep in the car when I saw it. A general store, just sitting there on the side of the road, glowing with warm yellow light like something out of an old postcard. The sign above the door said Miller's General in faded red letters, and through the big front windows I could see people inside, actual customers, at midnight, in the middle of nowhere. I didn't question it. I just needed gas, maybe a snack, and directions to the nearest station. The bell above the door jingled when I walked in, and that's when everything stopped. Every single person in that store turned and looked at me. Not a glance, a stare, dead silent. There were maybe 8 or 9 people scattered throughout the aisles, a woman holding a can of soup, a man in a plaid shirt near the counter, a couple by the coolers in the back. They all just stood there, perfectly still, eyes locked on me. No one smiled, no one nodded, they just watched. I forced a laugh, trying to shake off the weirdness. "Hey, you guys still open?" My voice sounded too loud. No one answered. Then, slowly, they went back to what they were doing. The woman put the soup back on the shelf. The man in plaid picked up a newspaper. But their movements were stiff, mechanical, and no one spoke, not a word. The cash register let out a sharp ding. I looked over. No one was standing behind it. The drawer slid open on its own, then snapped shut again. Ding! My skin prickled. I walked toward the coolers, just wanting to grab something and get out. The whole place smelled wrong, like dust and old paper. I ran my hand along one of the shelves, and my fingers came away gray, thick dust, like nothing had been touched in years. I grabbed a bottle of water and turned toward the counter. That's when I noticed it. Every person in the store had turned their head again, all of them, watching me. Their eyes followed me in perfect sync as I walked, like they were on strings. I stopped. They stopped. I took a step. Their heads tilted, tracking me. "Okay, this is weird," I muttered, heading for the register. There was a man standing behind it now. I hadn't seen him appear, he was just there. Older guy, maybe 60, wearing a beige work shirt with a name tag that said Earl. His face was blank, totally expressionless. I set the water down. "Just this, thanks." He didn't ring it up. He didn't move. His mouth didn't even twitch, but I heard a voice, flat, monotone, coming from him but not matching his frozen face. "You shouldn't be here." I took a step back. "What?" Then he raised his arm, slowly, stiffly, and pointed toward the back of the store. I followed his finger and saw a door marked "Employees Only." I looked back at him, about to ask what the hell he meant, when I heard it, the scrape of shoes on linoleum. I turned. Every single customer in that store had raised their arms, all of them, pointing at the same door, their faces slack, their eyes empty. I didn't think, I just ran, shoved the front door open, and sprinted toward my car. Behind me, the lights inside the store started flickering, fast, strobing bursts that lit up the parking lot like a thunderstorm. I fumbled with my keys, hands shaking so bad I almost dropped them. The engine roared to life and I threw it into reverse. That's when every window in the store slammed shut, all at once. Bang, 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 like someone had yanked them down from the inside. The lights went out completely. The building sat there in the dark, silent and still, like it had never been open at all. I drove for an hour straight before I stopped shaking. The next morning, I asked a guy at a diner about the store, described the location, the sign, everything. He gave me a weird look. Miller's General? That place burned down in the early 90s. Whole thing went up in flames. Ain't nothing there now but a slab. I didn't believe him. I pulled the receipt out of my pocket. I'd grabbed it off the counter without thinking. The paper was yellowed, brittle. The ink was faded, but still readable. The timestamp said 11:47 p.m. The date, October 14th, 1987. And when I brought it closer, I smelled it. Smoke. Old, stale smoke soaked into the fibers. I went back during the day, drove the same road, found the spot. He was right. Just a concrete slab, cracked and overgrown with weeds. No building, no sign, nothing. But when I checked my dash cam footage from that night, I saw it, clear as anything. Light pouring out of that empty lot, figures moving behind windows that didn't exist. I don't drive that road anymore, and I don't stop at stores I've never heard of, because I keep thinking about what that man said. You shouldn't be here. And I wonder, how many other people walked into that place and never walked back out?